The shuttle shook as it passed through the docking field. Lucy held the armrest tight and watched through the small window. Station hung in space like a metal mountain. It was the largest military base in this part of the galaxy. It belonged to the Dominion. Lucy had seen pictures. The pictures did not prepare her for this. The station was built for giants. They were 8 feet tall on average. Their bodies were covered in thick gray skin that could stop a knife. Their eyes glowed soft orange in the dark. They had conquered 60 worlds in the last 1,000 years. Every species in the galaxy feared them. And now humanity needed to ask them for permission to cross their space. Commander Cole sat across from Lucy. He was in his 40s, with gray at his temples and a face that had seen too many difficult missions. He watched Lucy with concern. "You do not have to do this," he said. "We can request a different translator." Lucy shook her head. "There are only 4 humans who speak fluently. 2 are retired, 1 is sick. I am the only choice." "You spent 3 years learning their language," Ambassador said from the seat beside Cole. She was a tall woman in her 50s with kind eyes and worried lines around her mouth. 3 years studying their culture, but studying something and living it are different things. "I know," Lucy said. The shuttle landed with a heavy sound. Lucy stood up and felt the familiar ache in her left leg. She had been sick as a child. The illness had damaged the bones. She walked with a small limp now. It did not slow her down much, but it was always there. A reminder that her body was not as strong as she wished. The airlock opened. Hot air rushed in. They liked their stations warm. Lucy stepped out first because that was her job. She was the translator. She was the voice. A group of warriors waited for them. They stood in a line, arms crossed, orange eyes looking down at the humans. The smallest of them was 7 feet tall. They wore black armor that showed their rank markings. Weapons hung from their belts. Lucy felt very small. She straightened her back anyway. She walked forward with her uneven steps and stopped at the proper distance. She placed her right hand over her heart and bowed her head slightly. This was the greeting of respect between equals. The lead warrior made a sound. It was a laugh. "The humans send us a broken child," he said in. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "Look at this one. She limps like wounded prey." The other warriors laughed too. Lucy kept her face calm. She understood every word. That was the point. "I am Lucy," she said in perfect. The warriors stopped laughing. "I am the diplomatic translator for the Human Confederacy. We thank the Dominion for allowing this meeting." The lead warrior leaned down. His face came close to hers. His breath was hot and smelled like copper. "You speak our words," he said. "But words do not make you strong, glassbone. A strong wind could break you." "Perhaps," Lucy said, "but I am not here to fight. I am here to talk." The warrior made that grinding laugh again. "Talking is for the weak." "Then the weak have built ships that cross the stars," Lucy said calmly. "The weak have spread across 1,000 worlds. The weak stand in your station and do not run." The warrior's eyes narrowed. For a moment, Lucy thought she had made a terrible mistake. Then he stepped back. "The Apex Commander will not see you," he said. "He does not waste time on prey species. Sub-Commander will handle your little requests." This was an insult, a big one. In culture, refusing to meet someone directly meant you considered them beneath notice. Ambassador knew enough about their customs to understand. Her face tightened with anger, but she said nothing. "We accept the sub-commander's time with gratitude," Lucy said. The words tasted bitter, but she said them anyway. This was diplomacy. Sometimes diplomacy meant swallowing your pride. The warriors led them through the station. Everything was built large. The hallways were wide enough for 4 to walk side by side. The ceilings were high. The gravity was slightly heavier than Earth standard. Lucy felt it pulling at her with each step. Watched them pass, some pointed, some laughed. Lucy heard the words they whispered: "Preything, soft skin, glass bone, weak." She kept walking. They passed a large window that looked into a lower section. Lucy glanced through it and stopped. Children, young children, maybe 20 of them. They sat in rows in what looked like a classroom, but something was wrong. Their body language was not right. Children were supposed to be loud and aggressive, always wrestling and fighting. These children sat very still. Their orange eyes were wide. They looked scared. One of the warrior escorts grabbed Lucy's shoulder and pushed her forward. "Move, glassbone, do not stare." Lucy moved, but she did not forget what she saw. The negotiation room was cold. The had lowered the temperature on purpose. They wanted the humans to be uncomfortable. Lucy sat at the long table and tried not to shiver. Subcommander sat across from them. He was massive even by standards. His gray skin was covered in scars from old battles. His orange eyes looked at the humans like they were insects. "You want passage through our space," he said. His voice was flat and bored. "You want to use our trade routes. You want protection from raiders." He made that grinding laugh. "And what do you offer in return? What could prey creatures possibly give the Dominion?" Ambassador leaned forward. "We offer technology sharing, medical advances, cultural exchange, trade agreements that would benefit both our peoples." Lucy translated every word carefully. Waved his massive hand. "We do not need your medicines. We do not get sick. We do not want your culture. It is weak. Your trade goods are worthless to warriors." "Then what do you want?" asked. "Entertainment," said. He smiled, showing teeth like broken stones. "Send us your warriors to fight in our arena. Let us see how long soft humans last against real fighters. That would be worth something." Commander Cole's hands tightened into fists under the table. Lucy saw it. She shook her head slightly. "Do not react. That is what he wants." "We will consider your request," said through tight lips. The negotiations continued for 3 more hours. Every proposal was rejected. Every offer was mocked. Was not here to make a deal. He was here to humiliate them until they gave up and left. When the session finally ended, Lucy felt exhausted. But she did not return to her room. She told Commander Cole she needed to stretch her legs. He warned her to be careful. She promised she would. The station was busy. Warriors moved through the halls on their way to training rooms and weapons bays. They ignored Lucy mostly. She was too small to notice, too unimportant to bother with. She walked toward the section where she had seen the children. She did not know why. Something pulled at her. That image of frightened young faces would not leave her mind. She turned a corner and found herself in an empty hallway. It was darker here, quieter. 3 young stepped out of the shadows. They were not children, but they were not full adults either. Teenagers, maybe. Their armor was simple training gear. Their eyes glowed with cruel amusement. "Look what wandered away from its group," one of them said. He was the biggest of the 3. "A little glass bone all alone." Lucy stopped walking. Her heart beat faster, but she kept her face calm. "I am Lucy," she said in diplomatic translator. "I mean no offense, I was simply walking." "Walking where you should not," another one said. He moved to block her path back. "This section is restricted. Prey creatures are not welcome." "I apologize. I will leave now." "No," the big one stepped closer. "First, we want to test something. The elders say humans are fragile. They say human bones break like dry sticks. We want to see if this is true." He shoved her hard. Lucy hit the wall and fell to the floor. Pain flared in her shoulder. She heard them laughing above her. She got up. The big one looked surprised. He shoved her again. She hit the floor again. Her hip ached where it struck the metal. She got up. "Why do you not cry?" the third one asked. He sounded confused. "Why do you not beg? Prey creatures always beg." Lucy stood straight. She looked at them with steady eyes. "I am not prey." "You are weak." "Yes," she said. "I am weak, but weakness and prey are not the same thing. Prey runs, I am still here." The big one grabbed her collar and lifted her off the ground. Her feet dangled in the air. His face was close to hers. She could see the anger in his orange eyes. She had confused him, did not like being confused. "You should be afraid," he growled. "I am afraid," Lucy said quietly. "But I will not run, I will not beg. You can hurt me. You can break my bones, but you cannot make me into something I am not." He stared at her, she stared back. A new voice cut through the tension. "Release her." The young dropped Lucy immediately. She landed on her feet, stumbled, caught herself on the wall. A female walked toward them. She was tall and lean, with ceremonial marks on her face that showed high rank. Her eyes were darker orange than the others, older, wiser. "Warrior Prime," the big one said. He sounded nervous now. "We were just testing the human, seeing how fragile they really are." "And what did you learn?" asked. The young ones looked at each other. They did not answer. "Go," said, "before I report this to your training masters." They ran. Turned to Lucy. She studied the small human for a long moment. "You did not submit, you did not flee. Why?" "Because submitting and fleeing would prove them right," Lucy said. I would rather be hurt than be what they expect. That is either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both, Lucy admitted. Something like respect flickered in his eyes, just for a moment, then it was gone. Lucy took a chance. May I ask you something? Ask. The children I saw yesterday, in the lower education section, they looked frightened. Why? His face changed. The respect disappeared. Something darker took its place. Fear, maybe, or grief. Do not ask about the children, she said. Her voice was low and hard. Do not speak of them. Do not go near that section for your own safety. What is happening here? Lucy pressed. What is wrong? Turned away. Some things are not for prey to know. She walked away without looking back. Lucy stood alone in the dark hallway. Her shoulder hurt. Her hip hurt. Her heart hurt too, but for different reasons. Something terrible was hiding on this station. Something even the feared. Alarms began to scream. The command center was chaos. Warriors ran in every direction. Commanders shouted orders. Screens showed images that made Lucy's blood run cold. Creatures moved through the lower decks. They had been once, maybe. Now they were something else. Their bodies were twisted and wrong. Extra limbs grew from their backs. Their eyes were empty white holes. They moved fast, faster than anything that size should move. The Hollow, Commander Cole said beside her. His face was pale. I read about them in classified briefings. I hoped they were just rumors. What are they? Lucy asked. Parasites. They infect living hosts and take over their bodies. The host dies, but the body keeps moving, keeps hunting. Anyone they kill becomes one of them. Lucy watched the screens. The creatures were spreading through the lower sections. Warriors fought them in the hallways, but for every creature they killed, 2 more appeared. Ambassador grabbed Lucy's arm. We need to get to the evacuation shuttles, now. The children, Lucy said. Sector 14, the education wing, they are still down there. That is not our concern, said. Our job is to survive and report back to Earth. There are children trapped down there. Children, their people will save them. Lucy looked at the command center. She saw the fear on the faces of the warriors. She heard the reports coming in. Sectors 12 and 13 were lost. Sector 14 was surrounded. Life support was failing in the education wing. No one was going to save them. She pulled free from and walked toward Subcommander. He was coordinating the defense, his face tight with stress. The children in Sector 14, Lucy said in. What is the rescue plan? Looked down at her. For a moment he seemed to have forgotten she existed. There is no rescue plan. The sectors are overrun. Anyone who goes in will not come out. Then send warriors in armor, heavy weapons, fight through. The Hollow hunt by sensing aggression hormones and weapon energy signatures. The more we fight, the more they find us. A rescue team would draw every creature on those decks. He turned away. The children are already dead. We must contain the breach before it spreads further. Lucy stood frozen. 15 children, just abandoned, given up on. She walked back to Commander Cole and Ambassador. I am going down there, she said. Cole stared at her. Absolutely not, that is suicide. Maybe, maybe not. Lucy's mind was racing now. The Hollow hunt aggression and weapons. I am not aggressive. I will carry no weapons. I am small and quiet and calm. They might not sense me at all. Might not, said. You would bet your life on might not. Those children will die if no one helps them. Their own people should help them. Their own people have decided it is too dangerous. Lucy looked at the screens again, the creatures moving in the dark, the silent hallways. I spent 3 years studying their architecture, their emergency systems. I know how to navigate those sections. I know where the maintenance shafts are. I can reach the children. And then what? Cole demanded. You cannot carry 15 children out by yourself. I can find them. I can keep them calm. I can guide them to a safe extraction point if the warriors can clear a path. Cole grabbed her shoulders. Lucy, listen to me. You are not a soldier. You are a translator. You walk with a limp. You cannot fight these things. I know, she said softly. That is why it might work. They are not looking for someone like me. They are looking for threats. I am not a threat. I am just a small, fragile human girl. She gently removed his hands from her shoulders. I am going. You can report to Earth that I disobeyed orders. I do not care anymore. She turned and walked toward the maintenance access at the back of the command center. No one stopped her. Maybe they were too shocked. Maybe part of them hoped she could actually do it. She was halfway there when she heard footsteps behind her, heavy footsteps. Warrior Prime fell into step beside her. "You are insane," said. "Probably," Lucy agreed. "You will die." "Maybe." "Then why?" Lucy stopped at the maintenance hatch. She looked up at the tall warrior. "Because they are children, because they are scared, because I can hear them on the comm channels calling for help and no one is answering." Was quiet for a moment. "You heard them." "My translator earpiece picks up all frequencies. I heard a little girl asking where her mother was. She sounded about 6 years old." Closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. "My daughter is in that education wing. She is 7. Lucy felt her heart crack. "Then come with me, help me save them." "I am a warrior. The Hollow will sense me immediately." "Then you will learn to be something else just for a little while." Lucy opened the maintenance hatch. Darkness waited below. "I can teach you to be quiet, to be calm, to be invisible." "You would teach her how to be weak." "I would teach you how to survive. There is a difference." Stared into the darkness. Her hands shook slightly. Lucy realized she had never seen her afraid before. It made look more real somehow, more like a person instead of a monster. "My daughter's name is," said quietly. "She has my eyes. She wants to be a star pilot when she grows up." "Then let us go get her." Lucy climbed into the maintenance shaft. After a moment, she heard climbing down behind her. The darkness swallowed them. Above, the alarms kept screaming. The Hollow kept spreading. The warriors kept fighting and dying. And somewhere below, 15 children waited for someone to come. Lucy crawled through the narrow shaft. Her limp made it awkward, but she kept moving. Behind her, struggled with the tight space. We're not built for small passages. "Breathe slowly," Lucy whispered. "Think of something peaceful, do have peaceful thoughts. We are warriors, we think of battle. The maintenance shafts were never meant for people. They were meant for repair drones and cable bundles." Lucy squeezed through spaces that made her ribs ache, had an even harder time. The warrior had to remove pieces of her armor just to fit. They moved in silence. Lucy had explained the rules: no talking unless necessary, no sudden movements, keep your heart rate slow, keep your thoughts calm. The Hollow could sense fear too, Lucy suspected, but fear was different from aggression. Fear made you small and quiet, aggression made you loud and bright. She hoped she was right. The shaft opened into a vertical drop. Lucy looked down. 20 feet below, she could see a corridor. Emergency lights flickered red. Something wet glistened on the walls. "We go down," she whispered. They climbed down the ladder built into the shaft wall. Lucy's arms burned with the effort. Her bad leg slipped twice. Each time she caught herself and kept going. They reached the bottom and stepped into the corridor. The smell hit Lucy first. Copper and rot and something else. Something organic and wrong. She forced herself to breathe through her mouth. Bodies lay on the floor. Warriors cut down in battle. Some of them were still changing. Lucy watched in horror as one corpse twitched and began to move. "Do not look, breast. Keep moving." They moved. The corridors were a maze. Power was failing throughout the section. Some doors would not open. Others stood broken from their frames. Lucy navigated from memory. She had studied the station blueprints for weeks before arriving. She had never imagined she would use that knowledge like this. They passed through a storage room. Crates were knocked over. Supplies were scattered everywhere. Something moved in the shadows at the far end. Lucy stopped. She made herself still. She thought of quiet things: rain on a window, stars in deep space, her mother's garden back on Earth. The thing in the shadows turned toward them. It had been a once. Now it was something between life and death. White eyes scanned the room. Extra limbs twitched and clicked. Beside Lucy tensed. Lucy could feel the warrior's instinct screaming: fight, kill, destroy. Lucy reached out slowly and took's hand. The touch surprised them both. Did not hold hands. It was considered childish and weak. But Lucy needed to feel her calm, needed her to understand. She squeezed gently. "Be still, be nothing, be invisible." His hand trembled in hers, but she did not move, did not attack. The creature looked at them for a long moment. Its head tilted. It made a clicking sound deep in its chest. Then it turned and crawled away into the shadows. Lucy let out a breath she did not know she was holding. They kept moving. The education wing was behind a heavy blast door. The power was dead. The door would not open from the control panel. Lucy knelt down and examined the manual release. It was designed for hands. The lever was too heavy for her to pull. "Together," she said. They both grabbed the lever. Even with strength added to her own, it barely moved. Lucy's hands slipped. She cut her palm on a sharp edge. Blood ran down her wrist. She grabbed the lever again, pulled harder, felt something tear in her shoulder. The door groaned and slid open just enough for them to slip through. Inside, they found the children. 15 young huddled together in the far corner of a classroom. They had pushed desks together to make a barrier. Their orange eyes were wide with terror. Some of them were crying silently. They had been taught that crying was weak, but they were too scared to care anymore. A little girl at the front saw first. Her eyes went even wider. "Mother," made a sound. It was not a word. It was pure relief and love and fear all mixed together. She crossed the room in 3 steps and pulled the little girl into her arms. "I am here, I am here." The other children started to cry out loud now. "Where are our parents? Are we going to die? What were those things?" Lucy moved among them. She touched their shoulders. She spoke to them in soft. "You are safe now. We are going to get you out. But I need you to be very brave. Can you do that? Can you be brave for me?" "You are the human," one boy said. He was older than the others, maybe 12. "You are the glass bone they talked about." "Yes," Lucy said. "I am small and weak and fragile, and I came down here to save you when no one else would, so maybe being glass-boned is not so bad after all." The boy stared at her, then he nodded slowly. "What do we do?" he asked. Lucy gathered them all together. She explained the rules. Stay quiet. Stay calm. Hold hands in a chain. If you see something scary, close your eyes and think of something happy. "We are going to walk through the dark," she said. "There are bad things in the dark, but they cannot find us if we are quiet. You must trust me. Can you trust me?" 15 young faces looked back at her. Children, raised to believe that humans were prey, raised to believe that strength was everything. One by one, they nodded, picked up and held her close. The other children formed a chain behind Lucy. Small hands gripped each other tight. They left the classroom. They walked into the dark. The journey back was a nightmare made real. Twice they had to hide in maintenance closets while creatures passed by outside. Once a hollow came so close that Lucy could have touched it. She stood perfectly still, not breathing, watching those white eyes scan the hallway. The children were silent, not because they were brave, because they were too scared to make a sound, but that was good enough. They climbed, they crawled, they squeezed through spaces that seemed impossible. The youngest children rode on older backs, carried 2 at a time when needed. And through it all, Lucy led the way. The small, fragile human with the limp and the bleeding hand, and the quiet voice that somehow kept 15 terrified children moving forward. They reached the extraction point, a sealed door that led to a defended corridor, safe ground, warrior ground. Lucy activated her communication device. Her voice was steady despite everything. "This is Lucy. I have 15 children at extraction point 7. We need immediate escort." Silence, then a voice came back. "That is impossible. Nothing could have survived in those sectors." "And yet we did. Open the door, Sub-Commander. Open the door and see." The longest 30 seconds of Lucy's life passed. Lucy woke in a medical bay. The lights were too bright. Her body hurt everywhere. Commander Cole sat beside her bed. His eyes were red. He had not slept in a long time. "You are awake," he said. "Thank God." Lucy tried to sit up. Pain shot through her shoulder. She lay back down. "The children." "All safe, all 15 of them. Their families have them now." Cole shook his head slowly. "You did the impossible, Lucy. You walked through hell and brought them back." "Helped." "She is telling everyone that you saved her daughter, that you saved all of them, that she would have died 10 times without you." Lucy closed her eyes. She remembered the dark corridors, the creatures in the shadows, the small hands holding hers. "How long was I unconscious?" 12 hours. Your shoulder was dislocated. You lost a lot of blood from that cut on your hand, and you were completely exhausted." Cole's voice softened. "Your body gave everything it had." Lucy opened her eyes again. The hollow, were they contained? The warriors sealed off the infected sections and vented them to space. "The breach is over." He paused. They lost a lot of good soldiers, but it could have been much worse. Lucy nodded. She thought about the children crying silently in that classroom. She thought about calling for her mother. She thought about the creature that had looked at her and turned away. I want to see them, she said. The children. Later, you need to rest. Now, please. Cole studied her face. Then he sighed and helped her into a mobility chair. They found the children in a family gathering hall. Parents surrounded them. Young clung to older ones. Some were still crying. Others were telling their story over and over again, the way children do when they cannot believe what happened to them. When Lucy's chair entered the room, everyone stopped. She felt dozens of orange eyes turned toward her. Warriors, parents, they looked at her in silence, then broke away from and ran toward Lucy. Glassbone, she shouted, but she said it differently, not as an insult, as a name, a special name. The little girl climbed into Lucy's lap and hugged her tight. You came for us, said into Lucy's shoulder. No one else would come, but you came. Lucy held her carefully. Her arms hurt, her heart hurt too, but it was a good kind of hurt. Of course I came, she whispered. Someone had to. Other children gathered around her. They touched her hair, her hands, her face. They had never been this close to a human before. They had been taught that humans were weak and worthless. But this weak and worthless creature had saved their lives. A deep voice cut through the noise. Make way. The crowd parted. A massive walked through. He was taller than any Lucy had seen. His armor was covered in marks of rank and battle honors. His face was hard as stone. Apex Commander, the one who had refused to meet with the human delegation, the one who had called them prey creatures not worth his time. He stopped in front of Lucy's chair. He looked down at the small human surrounded by children. His orange eyes were unreadable. You are Lucy, he said, the translator. Yes. My officers tell me you entered the infected zones with no weapons, no armor, no combat training. His voice was flat. They tell me you guided 15 children through corridors filled with hollow. They tell me you faced creatures that have killed 1,000 of my warriors and you walked past them like ghosts. I was scared, Lucy said honestly. The whole time I was terrified. But you went anyway. Yes. Why? Lucy looked at the children around her, at in her lap, at standing nearby with tears on her face. Because they were children, she said. Because they were scared, because someone had to. Was silent for a long moment. Then slowly, the apex commander of station dropped to one knee before Lucy. The entire room gasped. Warriors made sounds of shock, even looked stunned. In culture, kneeling was sacred. A warrior only knelt before another warrior of superior spirit. It was an acknowledgement of true strength, not strength of muscle, strength of soul. No had ever knelt before a human. I called you weak, said. His voice was quiet now. I called you prey. I refused to meet with you because I thought humans were beneath my notice. He looked up at her with those ancient orange eyes. I was wrong. You showed more courage in one night than many of my warriors show in a lifetime. Around the room, others began to kneel, dropped first, then the parents, then the warriors who had guarded the doors. One by one, every in the room knelt before the small human girl. Lucy did not know what to say. Her eyes burned with tears she would not let fall. Please stand, she whispered. I am not a warrior, I am just a translator who did what needed to be done. No, said. You are what a warrior should be, not someone who loves to fight, someone who fights when there is no other choice, someone who faces fear and moves forward anyway, someone who protects those who cannot protect themselves. He rose and extended his hand to her, a gesture of equals. The negotiations are over, he said. Humanity will have passage through our space, trade routes, protection, anything you need, not because you demanded it, because you earned it, because you taught us that we had forgotten what true strength looks like. Lucy took his hand. Her small human fingers disappeared in his massive gray grip. Thank you, she said. No, his voice cracked slightly. Thank you for my people's children, for showing us that courage is not about being unafraid. It is about being afraid and acting anyway. Later, when the shuttle left station, Lucy sat by the window and watched the metal mountain grow smaller. Commander Cole sat beside her. Ambassador sat across the aisle, still looking stunned by everything that had happened. You know what you did, right? Cole said. You changed the entire relationship between our species, though we'll never look at humans the same way again." Lucy shrugged, her shoulder ached. Her hand was bandaged, her whole body was tired. "I did not do it for politics," she said. "I did it because there were scared children who needed help." "And that is exactly why it worked," Cole smiled sadly. "Because you did not care about treaties or trade routes or diplomatic advantages. You just cared about the kids, and they saw that. They saw a human risk everything not for power or profit, but just because it was the right thing to do." Lucy leaned her head against the window. Stars stretched out before them, infinite and beautiful and cold. "Strength is not about how hard you can hit," she said softly. "It is about what you are willing to sacrifice, what you are willing to face, what you are willing to do when no one else will." She closed her eyes and thought of arms around her neck, of tears, of an ancient warrior kneeling before a girl who could not even lift a sword. "Humans are small," she whispered. "Humans are fragile. We break easily and heal slowly and die young. But we are brave when it matters. We love when it is hard. We hope when there is no reason to hope." She smiled in her sleep. "And sometimes that is enough." The shuttle flew home through the stars. And across the galaxy, on 100 worlds, they told stories to their children. Stories about a small, limping human who walked through the dark. Stories about the girl they called Glassbone, the bravest warrior they had ever seen. Then the door opened. Warriors stood on the other side with weapons raised. They stared in disbelief at the small human surrounded by their children. Lucy smiled. "Told you I was not prey," she said. Then her legs gave out, and she collapsed to the floor. "Then think of your daughter. Think of holding her when she was a baby. Think of her laugh. Think of something that makes you feel safe, not angry." Was quiet for a long time, then her breathing slowed, her movements became smoother. They crawled toward the children. They crawled toward the hollow. They crawled into the dark. Red lights flashed along the walls. A voice boomed through the speakers in. Lucy understood every word. "Breach, breach in sectors 12 through 15. All warriors report to battle stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Lucy ran toward her delegation's quarters, but part of her mind was already thinking. Sectors 12 through 15. That was where the children were. The delegation was given small rooms in the visitor section. The beds were too large. The air was too hot. Commander Cole posted guards at the doors, though they all knew the guards would be useless if they decided to cause trouble. That night, Lucy lay awake in her too-big bed and thought about frightened children. Why were they scared? They feared nothing. They taught their children to fear nothing. It was the foundation of their entire culture. Something was wrong on this station. Lucy did not know what, but she was going to find out. She was small, she was weak. She walked with a limp and bruised easily and could not lift heavy things, but she had something they did not respect. She had curiosity, she had patience, she had a mind that never stopped asking questions. And sometimes, those things mattered more than strength.